What's up, everybody? Go ahead, grab your latte, your mocha, whatever the hell you're drinking. Sit down. It's your boy, Jobbers and Goons. This is the coffee shop, and I will be going over a awesome Star Wars character by the name of Kit Fisto today. If you are a fan of my content, you know that I've been doing a lot of Star Wars recently on this channel. And I ran a poll for a Jedi to be scaled because I had done a few Sith and I wanted to talk about Jedi. And Kit Fisto won the poll, which I am happy about because I am personally a fan of Kit Fisto. And if you like Star Wars content and the content I do in general, please consider hitting the like button. Let's try to get it up to like 100 likes. As well as subscribe and hit the notification bell because I post here quite often, as well as check out all the other coffee shop members, as well as my main channel, Jobbers and Goons. But getting back into this, I'm going to go over his physicality. Well, first, I'll do a little bit of a background. Then I'll go over his physicality, his martial arts skill in dueling, and then his intelligence, and then finally his force attributes and force abilities. Without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's begin. So, going over the backstory of Kit Fisto, Kit Fisto was a Nautolan male, which is a race that is more successful in the water, simply put. It's an aquatic-based race. And as a youth, of course, he was sent to the Jedi Academy, was raised there and trained to be a Jedi. And he served in the Clone Wars, most notably as a esteemed Jedi Master and Jedi General. And he went on several successful campaigns, survived several high-profile battles throughout the wars, and unfortunately met his end when he was tasked with joining an arrest Jedi team sent to bring in the recently discovered Dark Lord Emperor Palpatine. And in the arrest efforts, Darth Sidious slayed Kit Fisto. So, what did this highly esteemed Jedi Master accomplish, and how strong was he? Well, getting into his physicality, Kit Fisto was one of the most impressive Jedi of his time in terms of physicality. He was a Nautolan male in his prime, so if we get in the water, he's going to drown the shit out of you, beat the shit out of you as well, and be way faster than you. But even on land, he was just as fast, if not blatantly faster, than even the likes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was made evident in their Cestus Deception novel, in which Kit Fisto was so fast, Obi-Wan couldn't even process his movements when Kit Fisto was actually like going all out in movement. In terms of strength, his striking strength is easily on par with Obi-Wan Kenobi, as he can spar with him for hours, as well as he can easily take on the likes of General Grievous, even dismembering some of his limbs, and he could take on Asajj Ventress pretty comfortably. Now, in terms of durability, Kit Fisto's durability hasn't been that tested. He has taken blunt force damage, survived explosions, some damage from lightsaber duels, as well as just general brawling damage, but he's never taken anything extreme. So to the extent of his durability, it hasn't been that wildly tested, and that's more to his credit because Kit Fisto is a very talented fighter, but we know he has been imprisoned as well in war, and survived that just fine. He's a very tough character, so I wouldn't doubt he has great durability. It's just it hasn't been tested as much as other characters like, say, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, in terms of stamina, like I said, he's top tier among the Jedi, up there comfortably with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this was while he was holding back. And he can duel extended periods of times with Asajj Ventress, as well as take on Grievous, Magna Guards, and other soldiers of the Separatists, as well as an underwater army by himself, up to thousands of creatures at a time. Now, moving on from physicality, let's talk about the martial arts and dueling skills of Kit Fisto, which is, in my opinion, the most fun aspect of Fisto to talk about. So, Kit is considered one of the greatest Jedi duelists, not only of the Jedi Council of his era, but actually of all the Jedi Masters to come before him. This was according to Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Revenge of the Sith novel. Now, Kit Fisto was a primary practitioner of Form 1 Shi-Cho, which makes him very interesting because typically when you look at some of the best duelists of all time, by the way, I'm going to be dropping a which era has the best duelists based on a measurement of quantity of duelists, top tier duelists, and quality of those duelists. Hit the like button and hit the comment section if you're excited for that project to drop. But anyways, getting back to this, most top tier duelists aren't primarily Form 1 users. They'll either be Jim So, Juyo, Makashi, the other variants. But here, Kit Fisto stuck with Form 1. And what makes it fascinating is this is the archetypal form that the other forms are kind of built upon. It's meant for simple engagements, taking out multiple foes, and being offensive and defensively coordinated in combat. Fisto took this form and took it to the infinite degree. Like it's so much more extreme than typical Form 1 usage that it's disgusting. I mean, when he was sparring with Kenobi in Cestus Deception or Betrayal, it's one of those, he was holding back. He actually had to suppress himself because if he gets too deep into Form 1, he can be swayed into the dark side. It's almost like Juyo in that nature. And he had to hold back on Kenobi, but he was casually keeping up with the Kenobi that had already learned Surisu, was well into the Clone Wars, and had multiple duels under his belt. So in terms of skill, including him taking on Grievous and pretty easily taking off a limb. And by the way, this is a combination of canon and legends. Basically, if the information doesn't really conflict, I use it. But yeah, and him taking on Grievous kind of makes sense because Fisto's such a randomized fighter with his form, so free-flowing and wild that it would be hard for a systematic, computerized fighter like Grievous to deal with that off-rip. So this is what made Fisto a very gifted duelist, as well as don't underestimate his actual martial arts skill. Kenobi was blown away by how talented of a hand-to-hand combatant Kit Fisto was, and he actually described him as a hurricane of martial arts prowess. And he's very fluid on mixing strikes, so he could be dueling you and then just slipping a punch or a kick, which throws a lot of combatants off balance, as well as he's very powerful with his force augmentation, so these strikes are very lethal, and he has bopped aliens much larger than himself pretty casually. Going from dueling, which, obviously is demonstrated to be one of the best of his era, let's talk about his intelligence and, accolades. He was one of the best Jedi Masters of his time in terms of being a battlefield general. Typically, he was well-tuned to the Force, allowing him to guide his troops in battle as well as stay alive himself. I wouldn't say he was anything crazy in terms of intelligence or strategy. Due to the nature of his style, he more so gives into the flow of the Force, and like a crackhead version of Qui-Gon Jinn, I guess, would probably be the best way to describe it. However, I will say his battle underwater, in which he figured out how to separate the thousands of creatures he was battling, this was quite unique and quite genius in the moment. So he's one of those characters, I would say his intelligence derives more so from in the moment than preparing and knowing beforehand. What I mean by that is he isn't going to have some elaborate plan in the first few seconds that he formulated. But what's going to happen is during the battle, his skill, trust in the Force, power in the Force, and experience is going to lead him to become random, unorthodox, dangerous, and a reactionary machine, which makes him very lethal in combat. So in that regards, I do think he is dangerous strategy-wise in the moment because of how random and unorthodox he is. Finally, talking about his Force powers, he was able to match characters like Kenobi in the Force, pulling off Force feats with them during the Clone Wars. He was quite proficient with telekinetic pushes and pulls. Underwater, he was massively amped. You could argue he would at that point be, second to only like Maester Yoda in the Force in the Council, because of how strong he gets underwater. Even creating some of his own Force abilities, like a Force enhanced energy ball that he throws underwater. As well as his Force augmentation is elite. As I said, he is faster than Kenobi when both are using the Force, which is very impressive given that Kenobi can keep up with Skywalker, who was considered at that point one of the fastest Jedi of all time. So overall, he has what I would consider, he does have precog. He does have his Force senses, empathy, mind tricks, and stuff, but some of those things are honestly not as applicable in combat. Like, he's not just going to Jedi mind trick you in the middle of combat, especially if you're another Force user. But he does have the, what I would call, standard loadout of abilities for Jedi of his time. And he's a lot more advanced than most in terms of, like, telekinetic and Force augmentation. So that does make him very dangerous even in his own verse. So overall, how strong was Kit Fisto? Kit Fisto was rightfully deemed one of the best of his era. One of the most unique lightsaber combatants in the way he took Shicho to such an extreme level. Arguably the greatest user of Shicho we've ever seen. He's one of the most fun characters to read about in Star Wars. Always had a good-natured smile on his face, and even smiled in death. As he went out a warrior, as he would always want to, given his role as a Jedi and being in its nature as Kit Fisto. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section down below a couple of things. One, what do you think of Kit Fisto? Are you a fan of him? What do you think of him as a duelist and overall as a Jedi? To me, I thought most impressive, especially in the novel, was the fact that he did slightly hold out against Sidious when none of the other masters besides Mace with him could. And in the novel, he, while he was flowing in the Force, sensed a disturbance, which was Anakin pulling up, and it was kind of implied, that got him cut down instantly. So you could kind of argue he could have done better if Anakin wasn't coming. So it's quite interesting, but yeah, he was a very talented Jedi. As well as, let me know who you want to see him face in a versus battle. In verse, do you want to see him face a Sith like Darth Maul, which I think is an interesting battle, or do you want to see him face a fellow Jedi like Plo Koon? Let me know in the comment section down below, as well as the character he faces will get their own individual video before the battle. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons. This is The Coffee Shop, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.